Today in this video, we'll talk about some of the best and newest turn-based RPGs that you can play right now. Because as much as I love all of the high-speed action in other games, sometimes I just want to sit back, enjoy my coffee, and watch a health bar melt because I planned 3 turns ahead. If you're like me, then this list is for you. We have a lot to talk about, so let's dive in. Starting off this list, we have In Stars and Time. I am a massive sucker for time loop games like Outer Wilds, Majora's Mask. I love all of them, but this one does something different. You wake up, you're about to kill the final boss, and then you loop back to the start of the day. You have already won the game. The adventure is over. Now you are just living in the epilogue, trying to figure out why you are stuck. The turn-based combat here is not about grinding for stats, it is about optimization. You have already beaten these enemies 100 times. Now the goal is to skip them, or break the fight in weird ways, or find dialogue options you missed. The writing is incredibly sharp, very queer, very funny, and then randomly devastating out of nowhere. You will laugh at a joke about a bad cooking recipe, and then 10 minutes later you will be staring at your screen feeling genuinely emotional. The best part? This was made by one person. Solo Dev. Insert Disc 5 just built this entire intricate time loop narrative and battle system alone. It is short, it is focused, and it respects your intelligence. If you have ever wondered what Undertale would look like if it was just the Sans fight extended into a full relationship drama, this is it. And next up we have Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Look, when the first game came out, we all thought it was a fluke, a joke. There is no way the crossover nobody asked for should be a tactical masterpiece, but Ubisoft Milan did it. And then for the sequel, they made a controversial choice. They got rid of the grid. No more squares. You just move freely in a radius. And I'm going to be honest, I was skeptical. Movement in tactical games is supposed to be precise, but it works because it turns the game into a real-time positioning puzzle. You have to dodge enemy Overwatch cones, you have to line up shots through obstacles, and you have to manage your action economy on the fly. It is chaos, but it is controlled chaos. Some hardcore fans of the first game really missed the strict grid, and I get that. The original had a tighter, more puzzle-like feel, but Sparks of Hope is more about spectacle and movement. Seeing Mario slide tackle a Goomba while Rabbid Rosalina drops a meteor on a stormtrooper-looking dude, that is the energy I want from a Mario Tactics game. It lost a tiny bit of edge, but it gained so much personality. And next up, it's Cassette Beasts. I need you to hear me loud and clear. If you are tired of Pokemon doing the same thing over and over again, and I mean tired, this is your therapy. You are on a weird, anachronistic island. You turn into monsters by recording them onto cassette tapes. The creature designs are weird. The vibe is kind of Adventure Time meets Earthbound, and the type matchup system actually makes sense. But the secret sauce here is the fusion system. If you are playing co-op, which the game fully supports, you and your buddy can literally fuse your 2 monsters into one super monster on the same turn, and it looks like something out of a Sugar Rush, Fever Dream. And the new Whirl edition that dropped recently bundles the DLC, which adds a creepy pier area and even more beasts to collect. Also, the music is by the composer who did Hyper Light Drifter, so the battle themes absolutely slap. This game respects you enough to give you a real difficulty curve, actual post-game content, and 0 hand-holding. It is for the grown-ups in the room who want a monster collector with teeth. And next up, let's talk about Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. If you love the idea of Monster Hunter but hate the time limits, hate the stamina bar, and hate chasing a Rathalos across different maps for 40 minutes, then this game is for you. This is Capcom doing a Pokemon competitor, but instead of catching cute little puppies, you are stealing Rathalos eggs and hatching them to fight for you. The turn-based system is a rock, paper, scissors guessing game. Power beats technical, technical beats speed, speed beats power. You have to read the monster's posture before they attack, and then pick the right move type. It sounds simple, and for the first few hours it is. But then you fight a Diablos. It goes into rage mode. The pattern changes, and suddenly you are sweating. You have to adapt on the fly, or you get wiped. And the best part is that Capcom is still patching this thing as of late, 2025. The online co-op is still alive, you can still hunt with friends, and they are still fixing little bugs. Riding around on a fully grown Tigrex while it uses brutal breath to wipe out a pack of Velociprey is the ultimate power fantasy. We love it. Next on the list, we have Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Okay, we need to have an honest conversation. This game is intimidating. It is the size of a Russian novel. The character creation screen alone has more options than some entire RPGs. But it is on this list because it might be the deepest sea RPG ever made that is not named Baldur's Gate 3. You can become a lich, a gold dragon, an angel, a demon, or even a swarm that walks, which is exactly as gross as it sounds. The mythic paths completely change the story, your abilities, and even who talks to you in camp. And the good news is that Owlcat has been on fire with the updates. As of late 2025, they dropped a patch that adds 4K support for the PS5 Pro, Brazilian Portuguese localization, and hundreds of bug fixes. The launch jank is gone. The crashes are rare. If you want to spend 200 hours theory crafting a build that breaks the action economy over its knee, this is your home. Just be ready to read. A lot. Or keep a wiki open on your phone. No shame in that. Now coming in next, we have Ruined King, a League of Legends story. Look, Riot Forge is sadly gone now, which is an absolute crime because they put out nothing but bangers before they shut down. This is an RPG set in Bilgewater, the pirate city. You play as Yasuo, Ahri, Misfortune, Illaoi, Braum, and Pike. The edgy crew, basically. The combat system here is one of the most unique I have seen in a long time. It uses a lane initiative system where you have a turn timeline, but you can delay your turn to boost your spells into super versions. It also has a Runeterra overcharge mana system that makes you think about resource management differently. It is a genuine challenge, even if you hate League of Legends with a burning passion. And if you care about the lore, this game actually sets up the whole Return of the Ruined King event canonically. It explains why Viego is such a whiny antagonist. It is a 30-hour JRPG that feels like a love letter to Final Fantasy X. Pick it up before it gets delisted or something. So next up we have Fire Emblem Engage. Okay, let's get the bad stuff out of the way first, because we have to be fair. The story is kind of stupid, like Saturday morning cartoon stupid. You collect magic rings, you fight a dragon, the end. The main character has toothpaste-colored hair. The dialogue is corny. We get it. It is not winning any awards for writing. But here's the thing. The gameplay, some of the best in the entire history of the series. The engage mechanic where you fuse with a hero from a past game like Marth or Sigurd is so broken and so fun that it carries the whole experience. I saw a user review recently on Metacritic that put it perfectly. They said the gameplay is some of the most polished and satisfying in the series, but the art style is the worst Fire Emblem has ever looked. And honestly, they are right. It looks like a mobile game gacha advertisement. But if you are a tactics sicko, you will look past the cringe dialogue for that moment you use Sigurd's override move to move 12 spaces and kill 3 generals in one turn. It scratches an itch that nothing else scratches. And next up, let's get miserable with Darkest Dungeon 2. The first game was about building a town, managing stress, and throwing wave after wave of disposable mercenaries into a meat grinder. This one is a roguelite road trip. You load up your stagecoach with 4 traumatized weirdos and drive towards a mountain to fight your literal inner demons. They changed a lot of systems. There is no more grinding up replacement heroes. If your healer dies here, the run is basically over. It is brutal, it is unforgiving, and it does not care about your feelings. But Red Hook just released a massive update last year, the Steadfast Stewards Update Part 2, which completely reworks the Hellion and Leper classes. They also finally added fast combat to consoles. Because Jesus Christ, the animations were slow. If you like games where the narrator calls you a coward and your characters have a mental breakdown because they saw a spider, this is the peak of the genre. It hates you. You will love it. Or you will uninstall it in a rage. Both are valid reactions. Coming in next, it's Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Owlcat Games again. These guys are genuinely insane in the best way. They took the 40k license, which is usually reserved for mediocre shooters in mobile games, and made a sprawling 120-hour CRPG, where you play as a space capitalist with a warrant of trade. You can do anything. You can be a saint, the iconoclast path, saving everyone. You can be a ruthless monster, the dogmatic path, burning heretics. Or you can be a literal chaos worshipper, the heretic path, which is as evil as it sounds. The recent 1.5 update is huge. We are talking a complete rework of the archetype system, 45 new items, and they added a familiar system for your Lord Captain. The combat is cover-based, turn-based, and features Space Marines hitting things with thunderhammers. If you have ever wanted to shout "Exterminate us" and blow up a planet of civilians because they looked at you wrong, this game lets you do that. It is buggy, it is janky, but it is the best Warhammer 40k RPG ever made. Another game we have here is Triangle Strategy. Hey, remember when Square Enix made a hardcore tactical RPG and then just forgot to market it? This one. It is the spiritual successor to Final Fantasy Tactics, but it leans way harder into the politics and way less into the job system. There are no wacky job combinations here. You have fixed units with fixed roles. The conviction system is the star of the show. You have to vote with your allies to decide the story path. You can try to persuade them with dialogue choices, or you might have to compromise and take a path you did not want. It makes you feel the weight of leadership. Critic reviews for the recent Xbox port noted that the game is deep and rewarding, but the cutscenes are long. Like, put the controller down, go make a sandwich, come back, and the cutscene is still going long. But when the fighting starts, the elevation mechanics, the backstabs, the magic combos, the way ice spells freeze water tiles, it is flawless. If you are patient, this is a masterclass in HD 2D visual design and tactical combat. And coming in next, we have Marvel's Midnight Suns. I am going to say it directly to your face. You were wrong for skipping this. When it came out, everyone saw the card-based combat tag and the weird Abby-social sim sections, and they ran away screaming. You were wrong. This is XCOM director Jake Solomon's magnum opus. I genuinely believe that. The cards are not random nonsense. They are just your moves. You do not shuffle a deck. You just have a hand of abilities. Throwing Captain America's shield, then having Spider-Man web a guy into that shield, then having Iron Man blast the whole group with a laser that bounces off surfaces. It is a puzzle box of environmental destruction and positioning. The story is dumb comic book fun, and hanging out with Blade and magic between missions is charming in a weird BioWare kind of way. It is the most underrated turn-based game of the last 5 years. If you see it on sale for $15, do not hesitate. Just buy it. And coming in next, it's Shin Megami Tensei 5. Vengeance. If Persona is the pop star who sings about friendship and summer vacation, Shin Megami Tensei is the metalhead uncle who lives in the basement and listens to industrial noise music. This is the definitive version of Shin Megami Tensei 5, and it fixes the single biggest complaint about the original. The original game had a very minimal plot. God is dead, go fight in a desert, the end. Vengeance adds a second full campaign called the Canon of Vengeance that is actually character-driven, dark, and interesting. The press turn system is still the best battle system in turn-based history. Hit a weakness, you get extra turns. Miss or get blocked, you lose turns. It is unforgiving. Random demons on the overworld can wipe your entire party if you get cocky. It is difficult, it is atmospheric, and fusing demons is an addictive metagame that will eat your entire evening. If you like strategy and you hate happy endings, this is your game. Next on the list, it's Chained Echoes. Look, I know love letter to SNES RPGs is a cliche at this point. Every indie dev says that. But this one is different. It was made by one guy, Matthias Linda, over 7 years. And it plays like he took Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, and Final Fantasy VI, threw them in a blender, and then realized modern quality of life features exist. The overdrive system is the key mechanic. You have a gauge. If you keep your actions diverse, you stay in overdrive and you are stronger. If you spam the same move repeatedly, you overheat and lose turns. It forces you to switch up your strategy every single fight. There is no grinding. Literally. The game uses a fixed SP system and no random encounters. You never have to fight the same wolf 50 times to level up. For a 40-hour RPG, that is a godsend. It respects your time, it respects your nostalgia, and it has one of the best mech combat systems outside of Xenogears. Another one that is totally worth mentioning is Sea of Stars. The hype was real for this one, the prequel to The Messenger, which was a ninja platformer, weirdly. This is a pure, unadulterated Chrono Trigger clone with gorgeous pixel art and a banger soundtrack by Yasunori Mitsuda himself, the guy who did Chrono Trigger and Xenogears. The twist is the combat timing. When you attack, if you press the button right as you connect, you do extra damage. When you block, if you time it right, you take less damage. It keeps you engaged constantly. You cannot just put the controller down and watch. You have to stay locked in. The story is a bit generic. Save the world from the evil alchemist. I will admit that. But the characters, especially Garl, are so lovable that you do not care. It is breezy, it is beautiful, and it is not a 100-hour commitment. It is comfort food for the soul, a perfect palate cleanser between the 100-hour epics on this list. And coming in next, let's talk about Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33. This one came out recently and absolutely blindsided everyone. It looks like a French art film. The premise is insane. A god called the Paintress erases a number once a year, and everyone that age dies. And you are one of the 33-year-olds trying to stop her. The combat is turn-based but with active inputs, similar to Shadow Hearts if you remember that cult classic. You have a cursor you need to circle around a target to land critical hits. You can also jump, dodge, and parry enemy attacks in real time. It is brutally hard, the story is devastating, and the visuals are Unreal Engine 5 cranked to 11. And it feels like it is the first big AAA indie game, if that makes sense. It proves turn-based combat can be cinematic, visceral, and emotionally resonant. Do not sleep on this one. It came out of nowhere and it deserves your attention. So next up we have Octopath Traveler II. The first game was pretty, the HD 2D art was gorgeous, but the stories did not connect. The 8 characters barely interacted, and the final boss was hidden behind a weird grind wall. Square Enix listened to the criticism. The sequel is better in every conceivable way. The game's art is even more gorgeous. The water, the lighting, the snow, the way torches flicker. The latent power gauges give each character a unique super move that makes them feel distinct. But the best change is the Crossed Paths chapters, where the characters actually talk to each other. You get to see the thief and the cleric have a dynamic. You get to see the scholar and the dancer bond. It makes the world feel alive. The soundtrack is maybe the best I have heard in a decade. It is 60 to 80 hours of pure, refined JRPG bliss. If you only play one classic-style RPG this year, make it this one. And next up, we have Persona 3 Reload. Look, Persona 5 Royal might be the most stylish game ever made. It oozes cool, but Persona 3 has the best story in the franchise. It is about depression, death, grief, and the fatigue mechanic. Your party members literally get tired if you grind too much in the dungeon. That is the theme baked into the mechanics. But that was removed in Persona 3 Reload, which I think makes this remake even more perfect. I do not say that lightly. It keeps the dark, moody, melancholic vibe of the original, but gives it the gameplay fluidity of Persona 5 Royal. The dungeon, Tartarus, is still a monotonous tower climb. That is the one downside. It is repetitive. But they added party member control, which the original did not have. The original forced you to use AI commands. And they added the Episode Aegis DLC, which is a whole 30-hour epilogue. The voice acting is incredible. When Burn My Dread kicks in during the final boss fight, chills every single time. It is a masterpiece. Coming in next, let's talk about Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I cannot believe this is real. Ichiban Kasuga is one of the best protagonists in modern gaming. He is a loud, lovable, slightly stupid idiot who sees the world as a Dragon Quest game. He hallucinates menus. He has a heart of gold. This time, he goes to Hawaii. The turn-based combat is now fully positional. You can pick up bikes, bats, cones, and trash cans lying around the environment. You can make your party members follow you to set up combo attacks. It is fluid, goofy, and dynamic. But then the story hits you with the hardest emotional gut punch about losing your mother and finding your purpose. And on top of all that, there is an entire Animal Crossing-style island builder minigame, and a Pokemon-style Sujimon battler. The amount of content is genuinely obscene. It is funny, it is sad, it is weird, and it is the best Yakuza game ever made. Do not skip the side quests. And next up, we have Metaphor ReFantazio. We have to give it up for Studio Zero. They took the Persona calendar system, the social links, the time management, threw it into a high fantasy setting about political elections and racial prejudice, and somehow made it work. Maybe even better than Persona does. The archetype system is just job classes, but the way you unlock them is tied to royal virtues like courage, wisdom, and tolerance. It feels organic. The combat is a hybrid. You can hit low-level enemies on the field to kill them instantly, which feels great, but tough enemies trigger the turn-based squad battle. The story is about a kid trying to stop a racist tyrant from winning a magical election by killing a god. It is metal. It is a 2024 game that feels like a PS2 classic in the best possible way. The art direction, the music, the UI design, it is all top tier. If you love turn-based combat, this is the peak of the modern era. And finally, one of the best turn-based RPG you can play right now. Obviously, it's Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios did the impossible. They took Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, a tabletop rule set that was never designed for video games, and translated it perfectly. The dice rolls, the reaction spells that ask, do you want to cast shield? The ability to shove a goblin off a cliff instead of wasting a spell slot. The verticality. I do not need to tell you how good the story is. You know about the bear. You know about the mind flayers. You know about Karlach and Asterion and Shadowheart. But what makes it number one is the freedom. You can stack 20 explosive barrels in front of a boss and blow them up. You can talk your way out of the final fight. You can throw your shoes at people. 2 years later, Larian is still patching in new epilogues, new evil endings, new kissing animations. It is the standard. It is the measuring stick. It is the game that every turn-based RPG for the next decade will be compared to. If you have not played it, what are you even doing with your life? stop watching this video and go play it. But before that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you loved what you just watched. We really appreciate it. We also upload brand new videos all the time, so if you want to see them first, be sure to hit that notification bell. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.